Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. I'm Benny, that's Dylan, and every day we sit down and talk about your favorite superhero-themed TV shows and movies. So of course that means we're watching Supergirl.
Woo! It's back.
It's back. And okay, so the plot to this is first I'll give it the plot summary real quick. Supergirl is back from the Phantom Zone. She's dealing with being back and the PTSD that follows up with that. And her father is now here and also a superhero, so we get the usual, seemingly seasonal joke that Supergirl makes of a new Kryptonian that doesn't know how to hide their strength. Same jokes always seem to apply. And then he tries to save the world from global warming and trash. He builds a robot. The robot goes insane, and then Captain Planet shows up, the Planeteers, and they fight the robot, and they win.
Apparently that's how Krypton died. I don't know if that's like actually how Krypton dies.
The oceans were filled with trash?
Yeah, climate change is what explode. So apparently Earth is just going to explode in like 30 years is what this show is telling me. It wasn't Rogal Zar. It was just they drove their cars around too much.
I just feel like it's like they were straight up saying the world's going to shit without saying the world's going to shit. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, that's this show. I honestly give them credit for not being as ham-fisted as I expect them to be.
I half expected Jean to give a speech about why the world, because he was like, well, we can't fix it, you know?
Yeah.
And like I expected the speech then about how the humans have ruined their planet and that kind of a thing. That's what I was waiting for, but it never came. You're right.
Yeah, which like I'm fine with, just because, you know, I expect this show to be progressive and have pretty clear messages about what it stands for.
Yeah. I mean, that's the CW in general. You don't watch these shows. Yeah. They're not very subversive and subtle about the things they're trying to do.
No, but like especially this show, Out of the Lot, is very much like there's always something going on, and it's very clear what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
But you know, like climate change is a very real issue. And it's something that comic books have dealt with before. Like I made the joke earlier off air that Kara's dad reminded me of the Green Skull, which is an obscure Captain America villain who is just an eco-terrorist who hates bad things happening to the environment.
Right.
And he looks like the Red Skull, but he's green. But that's
I don't even know that villain, so I'm giving you that one. That little deep dive.
Yeah,
there.
I believe he's from Rick Remender's Captain America. He might have had like an older appearance somewhere, but I know he's in that. He flies a little helicopter around, which is ironic because helicopters are bad for the environment. But anyway, we're not talking about the Green Skull.
I do think this show versus The Flash, even if you don't like Supergirl, I do feel like it really leans into the actors and the plot points and what the actors' strong suits are. Another just outstanding moments in this entire episode for me was just Brainiac. Opening up, he's doing the spin thing with that, you know what I mean? Like, and then he's like, I'm going to go inside of the trash monster. Like, okay, I believe you, Brainiac. It reminds me of earlier Flash when like Cisco would kind of be a focal point before, like for 3 seasons, he's been wanting to leave and they just keep regulating him to the back.
Yep. Carlos Valdez is like, wait, no, I need money actually, so I don't want to leave.
Right. But keep staging it like I can go at any time.
Yeah, exactly. Give me like a soft out. I don't want a hard out, just a soft one. But I mean, yeah, if it's, I don't know how you feel about this episode, but like I was surprised that I liked it. I really enjoyed this episode.
I actually did, and when they opened up and decided they were going to dive into Kara's PTSD from being in the Phantom Zone for as long as she was, I kind of thought like, okay, so it's going to be one of those like really ham-fisted emotional episodes. But I actually feel like they touched on it very well. They didn't really shove it in your face, but they touched on the fact that she is dealing with this. I would say my only major nitpick is we have another Kryptonian. Just another one on the show. Every season's a new one to join the and it had the same jokes. Like, oh, he doesn't know you're not supposed to lift up a copier. Like, yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know if I voiced this in the previous discussions we had, but I was kind of hoping that was something that they would do. They didn't do it exactly how I wanted. I thought it would have been fun to see the stuff that we didn't get to see, like the stuff that happened off screen, where he's like, he gets to Earth and he's like, well, I can fly. What the hell? Like, I wanted to kind of see that stuff, but sure, like we've gone over it before. But also, it looks like he's not sticking around too long. I think he's going to be gone. Or he'll stick around and he'll be a villain. Who knows?
He's gonna try to save the world from itself. Is it gonna that? If he says the line, "I'm saving you from yourself," I'm calling it now.
Yeah, because that's also I believe that's a thing in the comics where, at least from some of the Supergirl comics I've read, is that Kara's dad sometimes turns into a bad guy.
The weirdest one so far was when he was Cyborg Superman.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but that is, and this is going to nicely transition into the reason why I think the rest of the season is going to be annoying to me. Everyone is a superhero on this show, like literally everyone.
It has the Flash problem.
Yeah, it's like worse than the Flash because like at least the Flash reels stuff back sometimes. Like even their non-superhero characters might have powers, yes, but they don't all go into the field all the time.
See, the big thing that I noticed to relate to what you're saying, it was the big, what I call the Planeteer fight. The trash monster needed every superhero to show up and use something against them. And I realized we have kryptonite everywhere now to the point where Kara needs a kryptonite protective suit that can be broken by a good hit. Like you've got your plot reason.
Get a better suit.
Yeah, well that. But you've got your plot reason already loaded up as to why she's not the one saving the day all the time. I don't like that because I would prefer it be she will always save the day. That's the plot of Superman. Like, but you're right. Everyone has powers. The sister, Martian Manhunter, the father, they've all got powers.
Yeah. And it's not even that they all have powers. It's like they're all superheroes. They're all supers. And I think that's, if you want to write a show about everyone having powers, that's fine. That's the X-Men.
It's called Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, and like nobody uses their powers on that show, so that's an entirely different thing. But like in this show, it's to the point where, and I think last time we talked about this, how we were worried that Kelly, Alex's girlfriend, was going to become Guardian.
Yeah.
And that is true. People they confirmed that months ago with photos released of her in the Guardian suit. We didn't know this because we didn't look into it, but somebody made a comment on the last episode months ago that she is going to become Guardian, and I have since seen the photos of her as Guardian. So yeah, that's why I think the rest of this season is going to be kind of a mess, is because they're bringing Kelly back, who's kind of a useless character that both of us don't like, and B, they're turning her into Guardian, which is just so contrived and nonsensical.
I think the reason why it was working before is because of COVID. Yes, we had a bunch of superpowers, but you kind of had the episodes separated. You would have a Supergirl show where she is off with her dad, and we got to focus on that in the Phantom Zone. And then we would have a Brainiac and Nia, right? That's her name? Mm-hmm. Okay, Nia show. And I'm like, yeah, I love this. This is great. Because we're focusing. We're focusing in. And you're right. That's my concern. Seeing all of them show up to fight a trash monster. That Lex may or may not have tweaked out and messed with.
Sure.
And it was funny because I was talking to someone. They're like, wait, Lex is back? I'm like, technically John Cryer's still here, but he's also not showing up ever. So
no.
he's just mentioned.
Yeah, they also I don't know whatever came of Lena mind whammying both of them. I think they forgot that was a thing. But again, this the whole
crazy,
first
right?
part of this season.
She showed up and she was chatting. I wasn't crazy, right?
What? And you mean in this episode?
Yeah, she shows up what's going on over there? Lena showed up.
Lena's in this episode, yeah.
Yeah, because she runs the paper. I'm not mixing up my characters.
No, that's Andrea Rojas runs the paper.
Okay.
Lena is just Lena's a super friend now. She just works the computer.
I think that's my only major issue with the show. Oddly enough, you would think that I'd have more issues with a show titled Supergirl that is on the CW. My major issue is the cast is so big. I still can't learn who's who. Trying to jump in. And that, for those who don't know, I watched the first 2 seasons and I jumped in on this season. I still can't keep straight who is who on the show. Because there's just so many. And they, at this point, and understandably, they expect you to know so many characters. So I'm still mixing them up, but I'm getting it.
The problem with it, and And I want to be fair to this episode. I think they make it work in this episode where there's a lot of characters here, but it's very clear that like Supergirl's back. She is on the forefront. The little relationships between everyone else kind of take a back seat. Like we don't get like a 10-minute like catch up on like Brainy still eating his feelings or whatever. We get one line to say that it's still a thing, and he's still dealing with it, but we move on from it. And that's, that's how if you want to have a show that has this many characters that are all doing things and have separate agendas, you need to do that. You need to pare down like what's happening in each episode. But my concern is that like in the back half of this season, they're going to introduce another superhero that has already existed on this show. We
don't need more. We need less. It needs to focus in right now.
Yeah. Like
it's the same complaint we have with The Flash, where there's just so many characters. Like, stop giving us these episodes. Just give me. It's called. And it's funny because Supergirl and Superman are like night and day, like the two shows.
Oh, totally. Which is like that's a whole. It's just the main problem is that these writers, the CW writers, really just keep going bigger, and they never want to let characters go. Like Lena being around still, I think is great, and I think they need to elevate her more because she has so much history with the main character, and her and Katie McGrath, I think is her name, and Melissa Benoist have such great chemistry. Like that's electric, like when they're on screen and they have scenes together. So they, and like we've said before, Brainy and Nia are both fantastic. Anytime that they have their own adventures, they're great. It's just, there's so many characters like you take Alex, who had a role, and then the writers decided to remove her role and just be like, well, we don't know what to do with her, make her a superhero. Like that's, that can't be the answer to everything because everyone on your show becomes the same. It's The Incredibles. Everyone's a superhero, so now no one is.
It reminds me of an old school Darkwing Duck episode where he went to a planet where everyone was a superhero, so they praised him for being the normal character. And like he hated it because like everyone is a superhero, they're all trying to save him.
And like even to the point where friggin' Andrea Rojas, who runs the paper, she's also a superhero.
Who is she?
She's the you remember the scene in this episode where she goes into Lex's mansion and she's like the shadow lady?
Maybe I looked
she's
away
got like
for a
shadow
moment.
powers.
Oh, okay. Maybe I looked away for a second. There's
It
so
was a
many
whole
people.
thing.
That's my problem. There's so many cast members. I'm trying to keep track of them all.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can count on like every single main character in this show probably has powers and probably either got them a couple seasons ago or has always had them or is Lena and doesn't have powers because she's a Luthor, but you could argue that her intelligence is her power.
I think that's why I liked jumping in on the season, because early in the season it was very focused in on the characters due to COVID. But this is the first episode I've dealt with where I don't know half the people on the show anymore. And I'm kind of like, oh, who's that? Oh, is that Lena? No, I could have sworn Lena looked different. But this one seems important. It is talking to her like she is kind of in the Lena role. Okay, fine, that's Lena. No, that's not Lena? Okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's kind of the boat I'm in. This is the first, like, I guess, more traditional CW episode I've had to deal with. So, I still liked it, though. I liked it better than The Flash. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, totally. And that's the thing, is, like, it is a very traditional, like, it's not great, but this show, I don't think at any point has really been great.
No. That's what I tell everyone. If you're going to watch a CW show, generally they're not bad, but they're not good, and you need to know what you're getting into. They're not...
Yeah.
The problem with CW is their shows have not aged well in the world of superhero TV shows. Because they're still doing what they did 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, we got things like the Disney Plus shows, mini movies.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's a different thing. And then, it's... You get what you pay for. Maybe that's not get what you pay for, but like, you get what expectations are something to be said. Not everything has to be incredible is what I'm trying to say. But I don't know. Yeah, this is definitely like this being like a classic CW format episode is a double-edged sword for sure. Where like it's fun when it works, but mostly like my complaints aren't even fair to this episode because they're just like, their criticisms of what I know is going to come in the
Yeah.
next few episodes. But maybe I'll
This
be
one was
proved wrong.
fun.
Who knows?
I thought this was fun. I did feel a little
Yeah.
bad for the robot when they made it do that, like kind of like scream for help kind of a thing when it fell in the water.
Yeah.
I was like, no! I was like,
Poor
no,
guy.
poor guy. And then I was so happy.
He looked
when
great, by the way. Great
Yeah.
CG on that robot.
I actually cheered a little bit when Brenny was like, aha! And I'm like, yes! The robot's alive! I forget what they call this one, because they said it was like Keelix, but it was a new guy. They rebuilt him.
Oh, Oscar, because
Oscar.
Kara's dad binged Sesame Street for some reason.
So, all right. Well, this has been absolutely Marvel in DC. We are Benny and Dylan, and if you enjoy this podcast-style discussion format of your favorite shows or just superhero-themed stuff in general, join us here. Hit that like button. Let us know your favorite part about the episode in the comments down below or what you didn't like about the episode. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our little community here. Thank you so much for your time.